Welcome back into the NFL Every Game on the Board podcast. We're going game number 265, 266 down to the end of the card with our closer here for the week, Andrew McGinnis. Welcome in, bud. How are you doing today?
Hey, Drew, doing great, and can't wait for another episode of this podcast. It's always a great time, always a great way to end the week, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing good, bud, and excited to get your opinions here on the back half of the NFL card. And also at the end, we'll give out a NHL best bet from McGinnis. He does the NFL and NHL here at Sportsmemo.com, so we'll get a best bet from him on the ice. But we'll start off 265, 266, Baltimore at Carolina. We got -3, the Ravens laying on the road, 44 the total. What are you thinking here, McGinnis? I mean, Cam Newton and company catching 3 at home? Is that a underdog worth a look here?
Yeah, I'd 100% say they are. I mean, that performance, I'm not going to look past it that they had last week against the Eagles. This team is a team that's progressed each and every week, and a lot of people are saying that this Panthers team is a team that can't be taken seriously because of their consistency. But in my eyes, I just look at progression. I look at a team the way they're moving forwards each and every week, and whether anyone wants to believe it or not, Drew, I'm impressed with the fact that the way they handled this Eagles team and the way they closed out a game. I mean, you have certain teams in this league that can always have great starts but not finish things off. So I was impressed with the Panthers, the way they closed things out. However, the Ravens have won the last 2 matchups between these two teams. The total's gone over in 4 of the last 5 matchups between these two teams, and that's actually my play on this game, Drew. I think that realistically, I'm not really too comfortable with either of these two teams' defenses right now. I mean, they're not very, very soft and too weak, but when it comes down to it in third and fourth quarter, tough situations, both of these two teams are almost very up there in the league and converting on third down, converting on those goal line touchdowns, and they're really impressing me from that factor. So, looking at these two teams, we're getting a very, very small spread here. So I would look Carolina on the side. But I have to go over the total in this one. Should be a very action-packed game in my eyes, more than people think. Baltimore Ravens offense should come alive, and this should be a track meet in my eyes.
Yeah, and this is a good one to shop around, guys. We're seeing 2.5s out there. Chris, the bookmaker to American-facing clients, is showing 3. So this is a good one to shop around on the key number, right around 3 in the NFL. We got 267, 268 up next. Indy at Oakland. Looks like the Colts laying 3 on the road, 50.5 the total, McGinnis. I mean, is this Oakland team backable in your opinion, or kind of just building for the future with their move to Las Vegas? Are you just going to stay away kind of for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I was talking with you off air about this, Drew. I mean, this is one of those ones you kind of look at and you think, wow, do I even want to touch this one? Do I even want to look at it from a viewer perspective, from a better perspective, handicapping perspective? Not really. You don't really want to be involved with these two teams. But the more I dig deep, the more I look into it, Drew, I'm going to take a shot with this Oakland Raiders team. I mean, I often tell people that I really, really use my handicapping profile is all about realistically, patterns, trends, stats, and that kind of stuff, and looking at teams and really diving into my research, Drew. But to be honest with you, a lot of what I look into is what coaches are saying and what players are saying. I'm a big fan of environment and how the team is responding to losses, to wins. And the way that I'm seeing, Derek Carr and this coaching staff for the Raiders talking about their season so far, looking at 1-5 right now. Like you said, I mean, they're going to pack it in soon. They're sitting at 2-4 against the spread. I think right now, looking at the way the Colts played last week, they might be riding a little bit too of a high in my eyes. They might be feeling a little bit too good about themselves. And let's face it, it was the Buffalo Bills that they beat. I mean, I'll admit, I know I leaned Buffalo in that one to keep their streak going of covering these big spreads, but it still was the Buffalo Bills that they took care of. And honestly, this Colts defense has been so worrisome. I have not liked them whatsoever. I mean, a couple weeks ago, the Patriots put up 38 points against them. And then a week after that, the Jets put up 42 points on them. And then they go last week, of course, and win 37-5 against the Bills. But does that really impress us? In my eyes, it doesn't. It shouldn't really mean the world to us that they beat the Bills by that much. So in my eyes, look, this is a really tough one to look at. Of course, the Raiders only averaging 18 points on the season. It's really tough to look at this one, but I think this one should be a very tighter styled game. I'm not a fan of must wins always being will wins, Drew, but I think this one is kind of a big game and kind of a pride game, a reputation game for this Raiders team. They'll come in and they'll keep this one close in my eyes, possibly win this one outright.
Guys, we got a coupon code here for McGinnis. It's his last name, MCINNIS, McGinnis half, HALF. No spaces or anything for the coupon code when you're checking out, and you can get half off any of his all-access packages on sportsmemo.com. That would include CFL, what's left of that, NHL, NFL. I believe those are the 3 sports you're doing right now, right, McGinnis?
Yes.
So, you get 3 sports of action, half off any all-access pass by typing in McGinnis half at checkout. Moving down the card, we got 269, 270, San Francisco at Arizona. This is a 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Pacific kick. Looks like San Fran laying 1 on the road, 41.5 the total, McGinnis.
Yeah, well, I mean, after talking about that Colts and Raiders game, you'd think that would be one of the worst games of the week. But we're looking at this San Francisco-Arizona game, and you think this one, as far as these two teams go, what we've seen from them so far this season, these are some really big letdown teams. And coming into this one, I think realistically, Arizona has to put on for their home crowd. They have to have a good performance. And we look at these young quarterbacks, these guys that are coming in as backups even, or guys that don't have the experience. They really, really struggled early on. And you've got a guy like Josh Rosen right now who, as much as this team hasn't really had success, Drew, I think, again, you have to look at each and every week. And, coming into this game against San Fran, another defense that I could really rip apart. I mean, Drew, I swear you and I can go out there and catch a few passes against this defense. I'm not impressed with them whatsoever. So realistically, we're getting a lower total of 41.5. I think Arizona could keep this one close, but I'd still look at taking them on the spread, honestly. San Fran comes into this one, kind of a tougher spot for them. And realistically, this is one that they have to take care of. But looking at a few stats right here, it's pretty dominant, actually, in the San Francisco side on offense. San Fran averaging 359 yards, whereas Arizona just averaging 220 per game, which is pretty despicable if you look at it. Total passing yards, just 156 per game. For Arizona, and that really does show me that they're going to have to really, really step things up, try and produce the offense a lot more, try and go downfield a lot more, and try and take more chances. And we're getting into that kind of that feel right now in the NFL, and we're so far into the season now that some of these guys are going to have to start taking risks. They're going to have to start mixing up the offense, utilizing more receivers, and trying to take some more shots, because what they're doing right now, Drew, simply isn't working. I mean, the fact that Arizona is averaging 64 rushing yards per game is outright embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. Their third down conversion percentage is 23. That should not be a thing in this NFL, I don't think. I mean, teams should be converting at a lot higher of a rate than that. It's kind of embarrassing, but I think Arizona has to come out and kind of put on right now in front of this home crowd. And this is one of those spots I'm looking at almost the same as the Raiders, where they kind of have to come out here and prove themselves and have a good performance and look strong in front of their home crowd. So I would look Arizona, but I got to go over the total, 41.5. It's way too low for me. And these two teams will mean business this week. Even though it's two teams that are in the lower of the standings, they're going to be looking to mean business and come out strong in this one.
McGinnis, we got another 4:30 Eastern kick here, 271, 272 Green Bay at the LA Rams. Looks like 56.5 the total, with arguably the best team in the NFL laying 9 at home.
Yeah, this is one I've really thought about all week long, Drew. I've been trying to think about, and you looked at it right after pretty much when the lines came out right away. A lot of people were thinking, holy crap, we're getting the Aaron Rodgers special. We're getting this team at, +9, +9.5, +10 at some spots for a little while. And you were thinking to yourself, wow, is this really a number I'm getting with this all-star quarterback with some of the receivers that he has? Then you got to take a step back and look at this LA Rams team, 7-0, 4-2-1 against the spread, a dynamic offense that hasn't been a joke whatsoever all year. I mean, you got to take them seriously, averaging 33 points per game, 292 passing yards, but not just that, 153 rushing yards per game. It's just absolutely unstoppable. This team on offense you just can't compete with them right now. They're a team that everyone should be taking seriously. I don't think this is a team that will, do so well over the first couple weeks of the season and then all of a sudden fall off. This is a team to really take serious. And of course, you got Green Bay coming off a bye, and that's always a big thing for this team. McCarthy gets a little bit of time to work and prepare for this team, prepare for that number one team in the league in the Rams. But when it comes down to it, Drew, I'll admit I was looking at the Green Bay Packers to start, but the more it comes down to it, man, I got to say, shop around, look at the Sportsmemo odds page, because I am going to look for the LA Rams in this one. This is going to be one I'm pulling a trigger. I think that as good as Rodgers is, as good as this team can be, as lethal as those receivers are, I think the Rams are just far too much. I think the Green Bay Packers defense is still absolutely abysmal in my eyes. I'm not a fan whatsoever of what they produce. And let's face it, this Rams defense is good as well. They're a defense to take seriously. They're not a joke, so they're going to put a lot of pressure on Rodgers. The offensive line is still something to worry about, a major, major issue for this Packers team, and it causes lots of concerns for me. So, I think things could start off close, Drew, but I think the Rams really, really run away with it.
Yeah, good point on being able to shop around, because I said 9, but really there's a lot of opinion on this game with the sports books. We're seeing 9.5, we're seeing 9s, we're even seeing an 8.5 at Bet Online. So if you like the LA Rams, we're seeing as low as 8.5 right now. So make sure to shop around. Some people would refer to these numbers as dead numbers. I don't, because they're less key numbers, but it could still fall there, 8, 9, it happens. So we got 273, 274, New Orleans, Minnesota. Looks like the Saints, this is another one to shop around. We got -1, we got pick'ems out there. We know the games can fall on one, so a good one to have more than one sports book. 52 the total. How would you look to bet the Saints Vikings, McGinnis?
Yeah, right now, Drew, I'm not a fan of the Saints team whatsoever. I mean, they're a team producing offensively. But they've been struggling recently, and they're a team that I'm not going to want to back whatsoever. Their defense is a massive, massive concern for me. Every single week, I think they struggle to get stops in key moments. They're a team that you can't rely on heavily in defense. And when you're looking at football handicapping, that's the first thing you should really look at, and not just their defensive ability, in general, but their ability to get key stops in the red zone, on the goal line, causing, turning touchdown opportunities into field goal opportunities. And that's not what this team does whatsoever. Meanwhile, this Vikings team is a team to take seriously. They're a team with absolute weapons, and I really think they'll just run the score up. The fact that we're getting a pick 'em on this one, Drew, honestly, this out of every game on this board, personally blew my mind. I don't think this one will be as close as the odds makers are giving it. A lot of people think it'll be a tight game. Minnesota, you look at their wideouts. They've got not just one, not just two, not just three guys. A lot of guys that can go deep. Push the pace and really take shots downfield. Whereas you look at this Saints team, they have weapons and Breeze can throw deep, but their offensive line does not allow them to do that whatsoever. Breeze does not have as much time as he used to have whatsoever. And to be honest with you, I feel like they try to take too many shots downfield. They don't elevate. They don't just go for first downs. And they're a dangerous team to back right now in my eyes. Meanwhile, this Vikings team's headed in the perfect direction. Each and every week I've seen improvements. I haven't been backing the Vikings too much, but I really love the spot here, Drew.
McGinnis, we got the Monday night game here, New England at Buffalo. Looks like the Patriots laying just less than 2 touchdowns. There is a 14 out there, but mostly 13.5s in the marketplace, 44 the total.
Yeah, Drew, I've really enjoyed breaking down this Buffalo Bills team the past couple of weeks with you, and I've been backing them quite a bit on these underdog spots, and I think once again I'm going to have to go ahead and do it. I think that Buffalo is a team right now that take away, throw it out the window what happened last week against Indianapolis. They're a team right now that's going to battle in games, and whether anyone wants to believe me saying that or not, they're struggling to score. They're struggling to put points up on the board. But what I'm seeing from them each week is inconsistency. And I think this week against a team like the New England Patriots, they have to step things up. They have to elevate, but it has to be defensively. I think when you look at this New England team, they're a team that honestly gets off to a slow start. If you look at them in their games, they always come out third quarter, fourth quarter really strong. If Buffalo can contain, use their defense, try and cause some trouble for Tom Brady in the pocket, let's remind everybody, Tom Brady is not a versatile quarterback. He's not an agile quarterback. Of course, he's out there as, the best quarterback in the league or the most elite quarterback, so many rings, so many Super Bowls to his name, but he's not a guy that can scramble around that pocket. So if Buffalo gets in his face early, causes some trouble to them, I think they can stick around in this one. That's a massive spread. I mean, Drew, you and I talk about college football and the big spreads we see there. This is a big spread here for an NFL football game. The plus 13.5, plus 14 at some spots, if you buy a hook. I'm going to have to go with the Bills in this one. I just can't see the Patriots running up the score against the Bills team.
Yeah, especially on the road here. This is in Buffalo, McGinnis?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 touchdowns on the road. I don't know, in the NFL, that is a big mountain to climb there for the Pats, but who knows? They can get it. Like you said, Tom Brady, one of, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. We got McGinnis half is the coupon code for half off any of McGinnis's packages, all access. McGinnis, you do the NHL as well. You've been really good this season. What do you got for over the weekend? Speaking to maybe, speaking to really any sports bettor out there, what would you recommend as far as a bet on the ice here, your best bet for the NHL?
Yeah, we're going to look at a total in this one, Drew, and we're seeing a rare 5.5. I've mentioned numerous times that we don't see a lot of those these days, and it's perfect because we're doing this podcast here on a Friday afternoon. This matchup I'm looking at is for a Saturday night matchup, a key rivalry. Montreal Canadiens taking a trip to Boston to play the Bruins. We're getting a 5.5 plus 100 total in this one. We're going to go over the total. These two teams, Drew, they always have competitive games with lots of scoring. Two dynamic offenses right now, and I would not believe it for a second if you told me that at the beginning of the season this Montreal Canadiens team would be, putting up numbers on the board like it's absolutely easy. But right now, guys like Drouin, guys like Byron, guys like Gallagher are stepping up on a daily basis and putting that puck in the back of the net. And for all the naysayers that said Max Domi would not be a good addition to this Montreal team, they're really being proven wrong right now, as Max Domi had 2 beautiful goals last night, and he's really stepped up as an offensive threat for this team. And as far as the Boston Bruins go, ever since they got back from that terrible West Coast road trip they've had, they've looked tremendous offensively. They've been buckling things down, but I'm still worried about Tuukka Rask in nets. I feel like right now, Drew, their backup goalie is almost better than their starting goalie in Rask. And so I've seen that Rask is actually announced to be the starter, and we'll see Price tomorrow night. But a 5.5 is far too low. There's 2 exciting teams. The pace will be very, very fast in this one. I can see some early goals in this one as well. Possibly look for an over in the first period as well. But I'm happily going to look over 5.5 in this one for my Friday best bet for tomorrow's card in the NHL.
All right, and just to make sure, I'm an NHL fan. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say a bettor. Definitely have never been able to beat these markets. But I got my Bet Online account up right now. Game number 5960. It's the Montreal Canadiens, Boston Bruins over 5.5. I'm getting it at plus 100. That's what you're saying?
Yes, right now I Bet Online plus 100 over 5.5 goals, Montreal, Boston.
Boom. I'm riding you, McGinnis. I'm following your advice here. So tomorrow night, hopefully it's a winner, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one that sticks out on the board, Drew. It's one that should have lots of goals, and I can guarantee you at a lot of spots we'll see a 6 by tomorrow.
All right, good stuff, McGinnis. Guys, remember the coupon code McGinnis half, and half off any of the all-access packages. You can get NHL, CFL, NFL with McGinnis at sportsmemo.com. Best of luck with your bets this weekend, college football, NFL, NHL, any of it, World Series, and we'll be back Monday with the NFL opening line report.